Once the life of royal parties, Sarah Ferguson now hides behind closed doors, alone, in a secret bar called the Doghouse. Once filled with laughter and clinking glasses, it's now where she sits for hours, whispering fears into the night. People close to her say she's spiraling, drinking, crying, and convinced that powerful enemies are closing in.
Is really at a low ebb. As you say, she goes drinking at the Doghouse, her pub. I know the girls are kind of, they want to freeze their parents out. They're cross with their parents, they're angry with their parents, but equally they have stayed in touch because they're genuinely so worried about where their mental health is at.
At the same time, her ex-husband, Prince Andrew, roams the empty halls of their mansion like a ghost who can't move on. The walls that once protected their privilege now echo with silence and regret. Royal Lodge, once a sanctuary of wealth and history, has turned into a symbol of everything they've lost. They used to rule the spotlight, adored by millions. Now they're trapped in a 30-room palace that feels more like a cage than a home. King Charles has ordered them to leave. And for the first time, the couple who defied royal convention for decades are facing a reality they can't escape. But what's happening behind those ornate gates goes far beyond a simple eviction. It's a story of fear, paranoia, and a love that refuses to die, even as their world collapses around them.
Royal Lodge has always been more than just a home. To Andrew and Fergie, it was proof that, even after the scandals, they still belonged somewhere. But that illusion shattered when King Charles made the call that neither of them wanted to believe. They had to leave. By the end of the year, the estate once granted to Andrew by his mother would no longer be theirs. Inside the mansion, the mood turned icy. The couple who once shared laughter over breakfast now live on opposite ends of the 30-room property, two people under one roof, barely speaking. The staff describe the atmosphere as tense, with every footstep echoing through corridors that feel emptier by the day. Andrew spends most mornings pacing through the main hall, staring out the window towards the gardens his mother once adored. For him, Royal Lodge isn't just a house, it's the last piece of royal identity he has left. Losing it feels like losing the final trace of the life he used to live. Sarah, on the other hand, has grown withdrawn. Friends say she rarely leaves the property anymore. She stays behind those high stone walls, anxious, restless, and terrified of what comes next. Every day another reminder arrives, notices, calls, conversations she doesn't want to face. At dinner, when they finally sit across from each other, the silence says everything. Their conversations spiral quickly into blame and bitterness, both wondering how the story of their lives turned into this, a countdown to eviction. But what happens when two people who refuse to let go are forced to say goodbye to the only thing holding them together? Because behind those locked gates, something darker is brewing.
Well, I do know that Fergie, people are actually worried about her. She's in such a bad frame of mind.
Every night, as the lights go dim inside Royal Lodge, Sarah Ferguson disappears into a place few outsiders even know exists. A small private bar tucked behind the property, known only as the Doghouse. Once a quirky retreat, it's become her hiding spot. The laughter and music that once filled it are gone. Now it's just the sound of clinking glass and quiet tears. Those who've seen her there describe a woman unraveling under pressure. She talks for hours, sometimes laughing at memories, other times breaking down mid-sentence. She leans on the few staff members who've stayed by her side, pouring out her fears about money, her reputation, and the people she thinks might still be watching her. One insider said she's convinced dark forces are circling, waiting for the moment to strike. Friends are worried. They say she's stopped attending most public events, avoiding cameras and calls. Her once vibrant energy, the charm that made her the life of royal gatherings, has faded into paranoia and silence. Some nights, she reportedly asks her closest confidants to stay late, afraid to be alone. For Fergie, Royal Lodge isn't just a home. It's her last connection to the royal world that rejected her. Losing it feels like losing her identity, and the fear of stepping out into a world that no longer sees her as the Duchess is something she can't bring herself to face. Her daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, call often, torn between worry and frustration. They've tried to help, but even they can't reach her when she's deep in one of her spirals. Behind closed doors, she's haunted by guilt, convinced that her mistakes have come back to punish her children. She was once adored for her spirit, her humor, her refusal to play by the royal rulebook. But now that same defiance has left her isolated, trapped in the same house she once fought to keep. And as Sarah drowns in the memories of what was, another story unfolds in the shadows of the same mansion. Because while she hides away, Andrew's world is collapsing too, just in a very different way.
While Sarah hides behind her fears, Andrew has become a shadow of himself. Once a prince who commanded respect, he now spends his days wandering Royal Lodge like a man lost in his own history. Staff say he mutters to himself, replaying conversations from years ago, as if trying to rewrite a past that can't be fixed. He rarely leaves the estate. The man who once moved through palaces and parades now avoids being seen at all. His titles are gone, his public life erased, and his sense of dignity stripped bare. Even inside his own home, he carries an air of quiet rage. He's furious at the world, at the press, at his brother, and most of all, at himself. For Andrew, the humiliation is constant. Every newspaper headline, every whispered story reminds him that he's no longer His Royal Highness, just a man surrounded by reminders of everything he's lost. Friends say he feels betrayed, abandoned by an institution that wants to find him. Yet deep down he knows the truth. It was his own choices that sealed his fate. His daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, have grown distant. They still call, still check in, but the warmth is gone. They're protective of their children now, wary of the storm their father's name still carries. To them, the scandal is a scar that never fully heals. Andrew hides it well when he has to, putting on that same clipped voice of confidence he used to wear in uniform. But when he's alone, pacing those endless corridors, the mask drops. He's just another man, haunted by what might have been. And yet, in their isolation, Andrew and Sarah clung to each other, not out of love, some say, but out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of losing what little they had left, and fear of the world waiting outside those gates, a world that had not forgotten and likely never would. But as the headlines grew louder and the pressure closed in, one final blow was about to arrive, the one neither of them could escape. The end of their home and the final chapter of Royal Lodge itself. The packing has already begun. Boxes line the grand staircase where portraits once hung, reminders of a family that used to matter. Staff quietly remove furniture, the clatter echoing through rooms that once held laughter and ceremony. Royal Lodge, the crown jewel of Windsor Great Park, is emptying out, and for Andrew and Sarah, it feels like the final nail in the coffin of their royal lives. For Andrew, it's humiliation he can't hide from. His future lies in a smaller house on the Sandringham estate, quiet, modest, and far from the world he once ruled. It's the clearest signal yet that the monarchy has moved on, leaving him behind as a relic of its past. Those close to him say he's dreading the moment he hands over the keys. To him, Royal Lodge isn't just home, it's all that's left of his identity. Sarah's future is even more uncertain. She's talked about moving to London or even abroad, but her fear of being without security makes every option feel impossible. The woman who once charmed the press now hides from it, terrified that the next headline will destroy what little remains of her reputation. Friends say she's clinging to hope that someone, anyone, might let her stay close to the family that no longer calls her one of their own. Their daughters are heartbroken but exhausted. Beatrice and Eugenie have their own families now, and though they try to support their parents, there's only so much they can do. They visit when they can, but even they admit it's painful to see what's become of the place that once felt like home. In the garden, two small figures remain constant, the corgis, Sandy and Muick. The dogs don't understand the politics or the headlines, they just wait for familiar voices, moving between Andrew and Sarah, as if refusing to take sides. Somehow, their quiet loyalty feels like the only pure thing left in a story clouded by shame and regret. When the gates of Royal Lodge finally close, it won't just mark the end of a tenancy, it'll mark the end of an era. The former Duke and Duchess of York, once the toast of the 1980s, will leave as outcasts of a royal world that no longer has a place for them. Their downfall isn't just about scandal or status. It's about two people who built their lives on privilege, only to discover that the crown they once served has no room for mercy. But even as they fade from the royal picture, one question still lingers. Was this simply justice catching up with them, or the slow, painful unraveling of two people who never learned when to let go? But what do you think? Was Sarah Ferguson unfairly punished for Andrew's past, or has fate finally caught up with them both? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more untold truths behind the crown.